I'm Jason.
I'm Adam.
And I'm usually Dave from the Digital Soup Podcast.
A proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts
at GonnaGeek.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
Hello, ho, 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 and welcome to episode 106 of Better Podcasting. On today's show, we're bringing it home for the holidays as we panic about it being the holidays.
In this week's Better Podcasting download, we run down the saga of my Zoom L12. I'm glad she's back, and I'm going to tell you whether or not it's fixed.
And finally, in this week's Better Podback, we run down some of your Twitter posts, 280 characters in all.
Lauren, go.
Welcome to Better Podcasting, a show where we talk about podcast tips, tools, and best practices to help you succeed with your podcast. What makes us different? Well, just like you, we podcast purely out of the love and fun of it. Podcasting is our hobby, and we recognize that it's yours too. We always encourage your questions and feedback, and you can find all of our contact information at betterpodcasting.com. Here's your host for the show, Stephen John Drew and Stargate Pioneer.
Welcome to episode 106 of Better Podcasting. My name is Stephen John Drew, and with me, of course, is the wonderful, the back of bone of the podcast, the star, Stargate Pioneer.
I'm glad you finally got the intro mostly right. So yes, I am the star of Better Podcasting. Call me SP, and we are here to help you make your hobby podcast better, because that's why we call the show Better Podcasting. And just a little reminder, we've got a ton of ways to contact us. We're on the Twitter at BetterPod. You can get us at our website, betterpodcasting.com, and also you can catch Steven at our Facebook page, Better Podcasting. Why is that? That is because Mark Zuckerberg hates me and booted me off his little social media fling.
Yeah, you remember that story about the people that picked on Mark Zuckerberg? That was SP.
No, that wasn't me, but now I want to meet them.
All right. Yeah, we're here with your favorite show, your favorite show called Better Podcasting, of course. And we want to know from you, how have you saved your podcast lately? This is something that we like to do here. If you have been in a situation and you thought that it was the end of your podcast episode and you managed to save it, how did you do that? Now, it could be a matter of something went horribly wrong with the recording, or maybe at the last minute, all of your co-hosts said, sorry, we got to go watch Star Wars tonight. Could be any of these things. Just tell us, how did you save your podcast? Please get in touch with us through any of the ways that Stargate Pioneer mentioned. And if you want, send us a video, because we do have a video companion of this podcast, which is available at youtube.com/GonnaGeek. SP, I have a question for you.
Quest, Mr. Steven.
My question for you is, for the audio listeners, they might not notice this, but the astute video viewers will notice that you're wearing something a little bit different tonight. What's up with that?
Yeah, I went with a blue button-down shirt. It's an Oxford shirt. It's got, the buttons on the collar.
No, I'm talking about your headphones.
Oh, the headphones. Yeah, the AKG K240 semi-open studio monitoring headphones. If you go over to our YouTube channel, that's Gonna Geek Gear on YouTube, you will find me actually unboxing this and comparing it just on the table with a bunch of my existing headphones. I said I will review it in a couple weeks after I try it. This is the first go on Better Podcasting, so we're going to wait at least one more week before I give my final say on the AKG K240s. But if you want to check out the video and ask questions, go over to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/GonnaGeekGear, or I believe it's geeks.link/GonnaGeekGear, because we need that 100 subscribers in order to get the actual Gonna Geek Gear name.
Yeah, you're absolutely 100% correct on that. So, yay! YouTube restrictions! So please go subscribe to the Gonna Geek Gear channel at YouTube at geeks.link/GonnaGeekGear. All right, let's take it home for the holidays. Now, while it may have already started in other countries, this week is Thanksgiving Day, which officially in the US, which officially marks the beginning of the holiday season, at least for you Americans, right, SP?
Yeah, there's some consternation on where the holiday season actually starts. Some say it's Columbus Day. Some say it's the Veterans Day or Remembrance Day in Canada. But most people say it's Thanksgiving Day in America, unless, of course, you're a realtor, in which case it's like September.
So why are we talking about the holidays? Well, let's be honest. The holidays can be a tough time of the year. You got family coming into town. You've got gifts to buy. You've got letters to send to Santa. And if you're like me, you have to just basically take a week off to hang your Christmas lights. It takes a dedicated week to do that. And so it's a very, very busy time of year, especially if you're like SP and you need to take a week off just to make way for his Christmas tree, because his Christmas tree is that big.
Yeah, and multiple Christmas trees as well. We have the diverse ornaments, all the geek ornaments go on one tree, which is actually the bigger tree. And then all the girly, like princess sort of stuff goes on the other tree. So yeah, you have to make way to get these things out of the basement, set it up, and then bring the boxes and boxes of ornaments up. So it really takes a lot of work. And not to mention, this is the time of year where you're running to the end of the year for like job performance issues or projects that last throughout the year. Or maybe you're in school and you're studying for finals. Dude, do you remember finals? Finals sucked.
No, because I dropped out of school at grade 3 because I was that smart.
Yeah, I forgot. That's what your parents kept telling you. Anyway, the long story short is that this is indeed a busy time of year, and that's just for an average individual. But you're not average, especially if you're listening to this show, because you are a podcaster.
And so today we're going to take some time, since officially in March it's kicking off the holidays. We thought we'd take some time to talk about how you as a podcaster can best handle the holidays. So today we're going to run down some podcast management, some opportunities that are brought forward by being the holiday season. And we're also going to talk about the wonderful ways to handle those loved ones that want to embrace your pod habit. I.e., we're talking about gifts. Okay, let's just lay that right now. So let's start off with the first part, is that your schedule is busy during the holidays. And as we mentioned at the top, it's really just going to get exponentially worse as you carry on in that holiday season. Now, not to make you panic, but as this show is released, you've only got one more weekend in November. Yeah, so just frame it. You got one more weekend in November and then you're in December. So let the panic ensue and realize that now is the time to plan for your hectic schedule that is about to come with the holiday season.
Now, if you haven't come up with a game plan yet, we're going to help you put one in place, because you really need to make it top priority right now, because the days for shopping left for Christmas are getting shorter. If you celebrate something else, it doesn't matter. The deals really matter up until Christmas. So you got to rush for that if you do give gifts and receive gifts for the holidays, and just a ton of stuff to do. So, by the way, Better Podcasting, this is a little secret, by the way, and Gonna Geek started their official holiday planning October 11th, 2017, and it has been locked in stone since October 29th. And one of the best ways you can do is to take this initiative, propose a plan for the holiday schedule, and send it to your co-host to confirm. Writing is really important this time of year because it's so easy to forget what is said. I don't even remember what we podcasted about last week. Did we do a podcast on Monday with Gonna Geek? I can't remember. Anyway, it is really important to write this stuff down, because you do actually go back and refer to it later when you're trying to figure out what you agreed to.
Yeah, and so this is obviously a really good tip, is to plan out it in a schedule form with your co-host. But even if you're doing a solo show, this is a good thing to do around the holidays, because if you go and you lay out your order of when you're going to record, at least when you have all these other busy things going on and at the last minute you're getting invited to a holiday party, or you're being invited to come over and help Uncle Steven put up all of his Christmas lights, you can look at your calendar and you can say, hey, I'm not helping you with the Christmas lights because I have a podcast to do. And I'm going to make a podcast right now because I don't want to help you with your Christmas lights.
So, Stephen, I forget, were you in charge of being available to bail out Chris, or was that me this year?
That was you. Yeah.
All right.
So, no, seriously, though, it's a really good idea, whether it's a solo show or a co-hosted show, because at least you've got a plan to start with. You might have to adapt that plan a little bit as things come on, but at least you've got a working order. Now, while you're setting this up, be very realistic with your expectations over the holidays. For example, if you have family coming into town, it's all well and good to say, yeah, I'm going to be able to go ahead and record. Except you forget that they're actually staying in your podcast studio, maybe. So are you going to be able to get in there? Now, let's say that they're nice. They're willing to get out for the hour and a half that you record. Are they going to be quiet enough for you while you record? So be really, really realistic with your expectations over the holidays and consider all of the variables that might impact that recording schedule. Maybe that means you do have to make a couple of changes now that you've remembered that, Auntie Susie is staying in my podcast studio.
Yeah, this is really important because once you figure out what's going on with family, it's definitely going to dictate what your schedule is with your show, whether it's solo or a co-hosted show, as well as you really have to take a look at the holistic approach. So there's preparation that needs to occur. There's the actual recording, there's the editing and publishing and promoting of your show. And if you can't do all of that, then take allowances for a few extra days, maybe a few extra weeks off, or if it's a monthly show, maybe you just front end load that monthly workflow at the beginning of December so you're ready to go at New Year's. So this is all stuff to take into account. But this brings us to our next point. It's okay to take some time off.
Yes. Now, we will say that again. It is okay to take some time off. We've said it on here before, and really, contrary to what some people will have you believe, it is something that as a hobbyist, somebody that's doing the podcast, you want to make sure that you balance that stress factor with the actual exposure, essentially, that you've got out there on the internet, because it's all well and good for you to think that you need to just power on through the season, but you end up in a situation that now you're burning out because you got all this stuff going on. Well, what's that going to do after the holidays? Are you going to be able to continue on? Probably not. You're going to have to take a bit of a break. So why not take the break while you're in the thick of it? Now, we can pretty much guarantee that in the upcoming weeks, you're going to see some stat services talk about how often there's actually an increase during the post-Christmas section. The theory on this being that a lot of people are getting new devices and they're going to be now checking out podcasts because maybe they got a new phone. Oh, look at this little podcast app. And so they go and they're going to start subscribing. Well, yes, there are some statistics that support this, like Libsyn's The Feed talked about this in episode 108. But ultimately, what you want to remember is they're probably searching for a theme. So they might even come across your podcast. If the latest episode is 2 weeks old, it's probably still relevant to them, and it's probably still something that's new enough that if you're going to entice them, you're going to entice them whether it's 2 weeks old or 2 days old, because they're new to podcasts and they're probably checking out a bunch of content. So it is ultimately our belief here at Better Podcasting that it is better, if you are going to be super busy, to take a week off, recharge your batteries, be more stress-free or a little bit less stressed. Okay, I won't say stress-free, a little bit less stressed by skipping a week than it is just putting out an episode for the sake of putting out an episode.
I'll give you a little secret. A lot of people are traveling with other family members or spending time with other family members or friends during the holidays, so they're not listening on their regular schedule either. And it's worth taking the time off and getting back to the schedule. This is where that comes in. You can make sure you can communicate that to your listeners. So in advance of the time that you're taking off, just say, hey, look, I'm going to be taking a week. I'm going to be taking 2 weeks off. I'm going to be taking 3 weeks off. I'm traveling. I'm doing some fun stuff. Here's some things that you could do. You can go and listen to some of our back content. If you throw together some back playlists, you can go do that. So just prepare your audience, and they'll be fine with it, by the way. Most of them will come back. Most of them are subscribed anyway, so they'll love you. And you can give them the love back with a great new episode when you come back in January.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Don't just think you have to take a week off if you need a break. Feel free to get a little bit creative. That's what we've done here the last couple of years with Better Podcasting, and actually for a very long time on the GonnaGeek.com show, is we get creative. We couple taking a week off with powering through a couple episodes in 1 week. Basically, we're recording in advance, because what that does is essentially we're recording 2 episodes in the course of a couple of days, and then we're taking a week off. So to the viewers and the listeners, they're only seeing a 1 week gap, but us as recording, we've got basically over a 2 week gap between recording sessions, which gives us a full clear schedule from podcasting over the holidays. It works really well for us. So we're coupling a week off with the idea of pre-recording some content, and you might have another way that you do that, but that's how we handle it. And feel free to get creative. The clearer you can make your schedule while Aunt Susie and Uncle Tim is coming in, the better.
Is that Uncle Tim from Timbits from Tim Hortons? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Do you have Timbits actually staying in your house for a couple of weeks?
I do, yeah.
They get stale after a while.
Yeah.
Okay. With that said, there are some major opportunities because of the holidays. You could do a holiday themed episode or episodes. Ironically, as we're talking about the holidays, this is not our holiday episode. We're helping you plan for the holidays here. We actually, on Better Podcasting, Stephen and I, have an annual tradition that we've done for the past 2 years, and we're looking forward to rekindling that tradition again this year.
Now, if you're lucky enough to have been able to take some time off during the holidays, this also might allow you the opportunity to do some impromptu work on the show. Now, let's say that you have a Facebook page. Well, maybe all of a sudden you find that you have a little bit of time that you could go stream a Facebook live session and communicate with some of those people. Remember, they might have some time off too. So the holidays are a great time to try a couple impromptu things that you might not usually be able to do in the middle of a weekday if you have the time off. This is a great example. We actually, a couple years back, did a live. It was a service called Blab. You might not be familiar with it, but it was a service that allowed video and had a lot of engagement. So we were able to do a bit of a live stream that we wouldn't usually be able to do elsewise. And we did that during our holiday break between SP, myself, and our co-host on the GonnaGeek.com show, Chris Farrell. So you really have these opportunities that sometimes come up over the holidays, especially if you have some time off. You also might be able to suddenly find a couple minutes to rework some elements. Maybe your family's gone out and you have that 10 minutes of sanity while they're out at the store. Well, you might pull up the Pond 5 audio library and start looking for some new tracks for your bumps or your music within your show. Or you might start to just dabble in some new graphic arts. So absolutely something that you want to take advantage of these opportunities when they come up over the holidays. But keep in mind, again, it's very busy, so don't make yourself too big of a wish list.
Yeah, like when you go on a trip or a vacation, you're like, oh man, I'm going to bring 20 comic books with me. I'm going to bring some audio to edit, and I am going to actually record some voiceovers. And you don't even get to any of that. Yeah, that's what the holidays are. You just get a lot of time off. You get to decompress, and your list while you just earning to get back into your studio. You might get a couple of things done, but you're also gain a new perspective. Remember, at the end of this time, it's the New Year resolution time. So it's a great time to plan too. We did a whole planning series last year, so you should go back and listen to that. Look, we're going to be remiss if we don't mention this next point, and that is the potential of the gift giving for podcasters. Basically, you're a podcaster, you could always use some gear, especially if people are getting you presents anyway. So the reality is somebody is going to be interested in buying something podcast related for you. Now think for a moment about those people. Do they know anything about podcasting beyond the fact that you do it and they don't listen to it? Do they know anything? Maybe they do. Odds are, if you're listening to this show, they don't. And if they do, odds are they don't know pod gear as much as you do, because you're checking out podcasts about podcasting and you want to know how to up your game. So ultimately, if somebody is hinting that they may want to get you something for your podcast, the best thing to do is just be direct as possible. Otherwise, you end up with something that you simply won't or can't use. So you can use Amazon wish list. You can send them a link. You know what we used to do as kids is we used to get the Target ad. We used to get the JCPenney's ad or whatever. And we would actually go in there and we would cut out like the weekly Target ad or Best Buy ad. And we would cut out what we would want and we would give it to somebody. This is what I want. Well, the digital version of that these days is Amazon wish list or links, or maybe refer them to friends that might be able to help. And you say, well, I don't know what I want, but I know I want to sound better, so I probably need a new microphone. You should probably talk to Steven and SP about that. And so, yeah, we'll help them out. So there you go. You probably will find that some of these people will understand why you're a bit specific. They've probably seen your passion. You are very passionate about what you do. So they might understand. After all, how do you think it'll go down if somebody was very excited to buy what they thought was the perfect gift for you? Like Steven, like I try to get you the perfect Christmas sweater every year. You just don't wear it. And that's the same thing of other people. They might buy you a brand new, shiny condenser $15 microphone that was on sale on an Amazon deal. And you already have a Shure SM7B. What are you going to use that $15 microphone? No, you're not.
Yeah, no, that's a great example because really you're right. You hit it on the head, SP, that these people have probably seen your passion for podcasting. So the odds are they'd be a little bit understanding and they don't want to be in that situation that they give you a gift that you can't use. That's probably the chance. So the better communication flow that can happen, definitely the less step toes and hurt feelings there will end up being in the end. Now, here's the thing is, if you're trying to buy for a podcaster, let's say you're on the other side of things and you've got somebody in mind, just do a favor for both of you and ask them straight up. Ask them if they have anything that they're interested in. They'll probably be super appreciative of it and really appreciate the idea that you're giving them a chance so that you're not in that $15 condenser microphone situation. So that's what we would encourage you if you're looking to buy for a podcaster. Now, ultimately, with all of this said, with the holidays, you got to remember all of this ties into just being proactive, planning your podcast, and being realistic with your expectations. Because if you do those three things, you're going to make sure that it goes a lot smoother for you. The last thing that you want to be doing is on Christmas Eve, if you celebrate Christmas, on Christmas Eve, recording a podcast at 11:59 because you forgot that you didn't tell everybody that you're going to take a week off. So I don't know, maybe you want to do that on Christmas, but I don't want to do that on Christmas Eve.
I don't want to do that on Christmas. Even if I got new gear, I'm not doing that on Christmas Eve. I'm enjoying my Christmas Eve. And since I'm older, 11:59, I'm probably going to be asleep by then too.
In any case, the holiday time is a great time for making memories both on your podcast and off of your podcast. So make those memories, because if you have a chance to handle your holiday season better with your podcasting, it's going to make your personal life with the holiday season even easier, and vice versa. So absolutely plan in advance, be proactive, and make sure that you set a schedule, because that's going to be your guiding principle to handle the holidays, in my opinion.
We look forward to hearing if you have any ways to handle the holidays. So you can catch us at all of our contact means. We'd love to see a video of you, but we'll take audio and we'll definitely read it for you. You know, my expert voice actor talents, professional voice actor talents can be used to read your email. And if you really think that is a bonus, go ahead. But if you want to avoid that, you probably should send us some audio and a video.
Before we hop to our download, I think we should take a moment here because we did talk a little bit about how there's gift giving over the holidays. And I know what people are saying right now. They're going, Stargate Pioneer, you are the talent of better podcasting. I understand that. So we want to get you a gift. Well, I mentioned you should ask people what they want if they're podcasters, but I'm just going to go ahead. Then SP is not in the weird position. And I'm just going to tell you right now that he really, 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 really wants a $15 condenser microphone, preferably something that has like the number 700 or 800 in it, something that's shiny. That's on his list. He doesn't own one, so that's what he wants for Christmas. There you go.
You know why Steven's doing this? Because he'll know I'll use it one time. I will take it immediately out to my driveway and I will film myself driving over it multiple times with the car.
Why not? NW700. It's on his wish list.
Welcome to this week's Better Podcasting Download.
Hey, Steven, I got a question for you.
What's your question? Or should I go with the SP? Quest.
So did you get the Zoom L12 back?
What's the Zoom L12?
It's the audio mixer and recorder that you had that was having some issues that you sent back to Zoom, and it was taking God forever to get back. How many days did it take to get it back?
It was like 17. Okay, so let's back up the truck a little bit here. To recap, I am using a Zoom L12 digital mixer and recorder. This is something that I've been tinkering with over the last couple of months. In fact, if you go back to episode 98 at betterpodcasting.com/98, you can hear my overview of the Zoom L12. And if you want to dive right in to the thick of it and watch the actual visual overview and walkthrough, you can check that out at www.geeks.link/L12. That's lowercase. That's geeks.link/L12. And you can watch a YouTube video where I do a walkthrough. Now, as SP said, I did have some problems. And what the problem ultimately was one. It was that as I spoke, it would often clip. I'll expand on that in a second here. But the long story short is that I went through a ticket process with Zoom. I fired off them a ticket and then I opened that up. And they listened to some recordings and they said, oh, that doesn't sound like your board's working right. So they opened up an RMA and I sent it off. Now, I will say that the Zoom support was really good. They were fast, they were prompt, and they were willing to look at the data I was providing them. I sent them some audio and some video samples from even this show, and they took a look, and it's what ultimately had them decide that, yeah, they felt that something was probably wrong with the board. And they were quick after that point to say, yeah, here you go. We'll cover the shipping, and you can send it on back to us. Now, here's the bottom line with that is it took a little while, and this is probably the only con that I really had with the support process, was it took a while for me to get my board sent to them and back because it did go by ground shipping. So full disclosure, it did go by ground shipping, and that's why I was without it for like 17 days because it had to go from Eastern Canada all the way to New York. So yeah, that took a little while to go there and back. Now, aside from that, yeah, they were really good. And there was even a problem with the return where for some reason, some paperwork went wrong and there was going to be a return charge from UPS and they took care of it. I sent them an email when I all of a sudden saw that come up on the tracking and they called UPS and took care of that. So I got to give high marks to the Zoom support. They were really, really helpful for me through this process. Now, like I said, there was clicking. And what this ultimately is if I say the wrong word or I talk really loud, occasionally, all of a sudden, I notice in the waveform, even when my gain and stuff is turned down quite a bit, like even less so than I had on my Zoom H6, there would be a sudden big spike. And when it clipped, it would click. So that's not an exaggeration. Like it's a very loud, audible click. to the point that when this happens, I actually have to go in post-production and fix that using some declicker. Actually, there's a declicker within Isotope Elements that is a great piece of software. So I had to do that. So I got the board back. Now the question is, was it fixed? Because that is the ultimate question, right, SB?
I'm so excited to learn. Was it fixed? Did you keep hearing the click in your recordings?
No, I it's not fixed. In fact, let me just give it a shot right now. He hacked it.
Right there.
Right at hacked. And you know why I said that? Because that was the initial time that I really realized it, and I knew it was going to do it again. So I'm not even yelling. If you, I know that we post-process this show, but if you want to pay attention to the waveform, if you go and you download, you'll see I'm really not even that loud. I'm just saying he hacked it. I'm barely even raising my voice, and for some reason when I say he hacked, well, it didn't do it that time, but for some reason when I say that, it does clip. And it's just obviously the way that my voice, the signal's carrying down the chain into the board, and for some reason it's causing it to clip. I don't understand it. This is a different board, different serial number. Now, the only thing that I will say about this is I did a variety of different tests with different wiring and whatnot. And now that I have a new board and it's still doing it, there's one last test that I need to do. And that is bypassing my DBX 286S, because that's the last thing that I want to do. And I haven't had a chance to do that yet. So I will report back on that, but it's not really a long-term solution because I want my DBX 286. It's clean gain. It's great for when I'm streaming live, and it's got a bunch of good functionality to it. So that's not really the way I want to go, but I will in the future be trying my microphone directly into the board to see if somehow those combination of elements is causing the problem, so that every time I say he hacked it, it clips. So yeah, so bizarre, and it's more than just that one word, by the way. Otherwise, I would just strip that word from my vocabulary.
Oh, how can you strip hack from your vocabulary? I mean, you're calling other podcasters hacks. You're talking about people hacking into our website, and you have to say how much hacking that you actually do around your house, splicing wires together.
You know what? I was just thinking. I'll just create a soundboard. So I'll say every version of that word possible, and then instead of actually saying it, I'll just play it on my soundboard.
Hey, why not? That would work.
I hope that I can find a solution, because this board is phenomenal. I gotta say, it's a very advanced board, but for someone like myself who does multi-tracked live streaming, it is a really, really versatile board. I have just barely scratched the surface on it, and I'm super impressed. So I do hope that I can find a solution. Now, here's a very interesting turn of events. This is before I sent it off, the weekend before, I actually published my video, my overview walkthrough that I mentioned at geeks.link/L12. And apparently Zoom's marketing is working really well for the musicians, because I have had a ton of musicians comment and ask questions over on that video. So if you want to go ahead and represent your fellow podcasters, I know we mentioned a couple episodes ago, please do go over to geeks.link/L12 and show the podcast in love, because there is a lot of musicians over there right now, and a whole bunch of stuff I got to explore on this L12 that I probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it really tells us that there is a definite larger market out there for musicians, even for gear that seems specifically designed for podcasters than podcasters. So guess what? Podcasters, you got to start making your voice heard, and you got to start actually buying the stuff, because otherwise musicians are going to rule the day. And yes, things can be used for both. Things can actually be used for film too. There's a bunch of film people that use Zoom products. So it's just a little sample set that we have. People in the music industry are more interested in this piece of gear than podcasters.
So if you got any questions about the L12, or you want me to see whether or not I can hack it, there you go. I didn't do it.
Ooh, that's twice.
Let me know. Please do get in touch with us through any of the ways. I actually genuinely am happy to answer it. Now that I've got the board back, I plan to do more videos. I'm looking forward to doing more, because it is such an awesome piece of technology. I'm just hoping that that last quirk that I've got, I can find a way around it and resolve it. So here's hoping.
I'm crossing my fingers. Last episode, I know I said I didn't remember what we did last episode, but I actually remember what we did last episode. Better Podcasting number 105, Babies Aren't Podcast Killers. We had a lot of great feedback from our audience, and we asked if you had any additional comments to make about that, please get in touch with us. Well, guess what? Emily at The Story Behind Pod on Twitter definitely did, and she said, to kids, this says, quote unquote, make all the noise. And what it is a picture of a recording sign. Yes, this is a homemade recording sign, but it's backlit and says recording. So it definitely says make all the noise to the kids, especially to those that can't read, because they'll see that sign and go, oh, cool, a sign. I need to make noise.
I really like the recording signs myself. They're neat. I've seen a few of them around the podcasting community, and I really like them. I do think they're neat.
I think this specific recording sign I've seen before, and before I commit, I want to just ask Emily where specifically she got the picture from, because I think I know where she got the picture from, but I just want to make sure. Anyway, moving on into the rest of the feedback. One of my co-hosts on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Longbox Edition asked us at Starsaber_222. He said, at ButterPod, have you guys done an episode on setting up a podcasting studio room? I'm thinking about setting up a recording computer in my guest bedroom. So, Stephen, I think this is something that we need to do specifically in the future. I think this is a great episode idea, but we have covered gear extensively, especially when we talk about our gear in our podcast studios during our holiday specials. So if you want to catch those out the last couple of years, you'll see how our gear has evolved. We can talk about different ways to actually set up a studio. We also got a tweet from at Forgotten TV Show, and they said, is this yet another version of the Audio-Technica ATR 2100, this time with electronic volume control instead of mechanical wheel? So this is an important tweet here, because we put out a picture of my behind the scenes unboxing video of the Samsung Q2U. So I will wait until next week to comment fully on this, but do expect a Samsung Q2U unboxing video and my first impressions of it laid out with the rest of the USB XLR microphones on the YouTube channel geeks.link/GonnaGeekGear. So that will be coming out. Actually, by the time this podcast comes out, it's probably already going to be out there and published. So just keep your eyes out for that. We'll be talking about the Samsung Q2U extensively. It's already keyed our interest in a couple of things, and one of the things was brought out by Forgotten TV about the electronic volume control.
Well, next up on Twitter, we had it from... Yes, that's right. Fan of the week, Matt Gull. He tweeted us. Fan of the week, Matt Gull said, just picked up a Zoom H6 on eBay. I blame Better Podcasting for my gear addiction. There might even be an F4 or a Mix Pre 3 on my Christmas list. So there you go. And why are you the fan of the week? Because you sent us a tweet, you're in our chat room as we record live, and you bought gear. So there you go. That's your trifecta right there.
I'm just going to warn you, Matt, what I think you have right now is something called GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. And before you go out and buy anything else, you need to ping off your purchases through other people to make sure you're not wasting money and wasting time with some gear. All those are great, by the way. The H6 is great. The F4 is great. The Mix Pre 3 is great, but it just depends on what you're going to use them with. So yeah, definitely just be careful of the gear acquisition syndrome, but congratulations on being the Better Pod fan of the week.
We also had Forgotten TV Show say, and this is why we build a vocal booth. And that was in reference, of course, to...
the episode number 105 of Better Podcasting, Babies Aren't Podcast Killers. Yeah, you can definitely construct a vocal booth, and it has helped a lot of people, even people using dynamic microphones in very cavernous sorts of rooms with hardwood floors and just big open spaces, you might need to explore that. I'm not saying that a dynamic mic is going to fix everything. So yeah, a vocal booth could definitely help that. Oh, by the way, At Forgotten TV show also followed up with, alternatively, if you do a one-person show, you can get something like a Zoom H1 and go somewhere to record in the car with a moving blanket over you even. Yeah, guess what? Emily has recorded in the car. I've actually recorded in the car as well, but Emily did her Zoom H5 opening review, which you can find at geeks.link/GonnaGeekGear on the in her car. And it was summer and it was hot. And if you go way, way, way back and you go, this is a couple years ago, I took my Audio-Technica BPHS1 headphones and I recorded something in my family's lake home sauna. Like, talk about a very reverb and echoey thing. So yeah, I did record with a blanket over my head. So yeah, those do work. Not preferable, but they do work.
You know what? I'll give you one last call out here for creative locations. SP actually did one on a plane once too. No word of a lie. He did it mid-flight on a plane. So there you go. We also had at Damien the DM. He said, #podparent checking in. It's a good hashtag. I should have made that before the show. Having family that loves having our son for sleepovers is what lets us record our show. And me working nights, so being up all night during the weekends, is what lets me edit. Hopefully my workflow improves before I'm on day shift.
We hope it improves as well, Damien. Keep on podcasting, buddy. At Mr. Nessie on Twitter said, my last episode of the year is listener-driven episode where educators share their favorite tech tips, tools, apps, and recommendation. 2017 will be year 4 for at House of Ed Tech. So that is Mr. Chris Nessie responding, asking if you had any holiday traditions. Now, we also had a tweet from at Joshua C. Liston said, yep, promising myself I will have thought about an awesome holiday tradition for my podcast by the following year, and then not doing it. Ha ha.
Oh, you know what? You don't have to have a holiday tradition. You might have something holiday special that you do, but you don't always, and you don't even have to do that. But you don't need to do the same tradition each year either. On the GonnaGeek.com show, we've shifted it up every year pretty much. So definitely something that if you do something, don't feel like you have to do it on an annual basis. And finally, in our Better Pod Back, we had several emails from the one and only Johnny Pennington. That's right. He is officially dubbed the man in the field correspondent. I believe that that's because he actually writes us from a field. Like every time he sends us an email, he has to go into a field to write us the email. So man in the field, Johnny Pennington, heard us make a bit of a post-show comment last week. That's right. You don't watch us live. You miss out on some post-show exclusives. We don't have any Patreon that we put it up. We just edit it out, sits in the trash bin, and that's where it lies. And we were talking a little bit about the Blue Encore 100 microphones. These microphones took us by some surprise. I'll be totally honest. Years ago, I came across the Blue Encore 100 and it looked like it had really good reviews. I had checked out a couple of videos, but I'm like, I gotta check this out for myself. So I bought the Blue Encore 100 and was super impressed. This was during a time that it seemed like nobody within the podcast world was recognizing that the Blue actually had a decent dynamic microphone. So we did it. We did a shootout and we've done several tests. And a lot of times it is highly rated over a lot of the other microphones by listeners. And I'm very, very impressed with it. Well, a little bit sad to find out that the Blue Encore 100, as we own it, SP and I both own it, is no more. The version that you might have seen is gray with a chrome grill. This is apparently the old version, and there is now a new version that actually, in my opinion, looks quite a bit better. It is black instead of a gray body. And here's the cool thing, is it has 2 grill options. It comes with the shiny silver grill as well as a black one. So if you don't want that shiny silver, whatever reason, you can pull it off and put the black one on. And it's definitely very, very interesting to see that Blue has redone this microphone, because there must be a reason behind it. My guess is the initial batch is all sold, and then they thought, well, let's just change a couple of things, because to be honest, the gray version that SP and I have, the gray is kind of ugly. But the question is it the same microphone? So man in the field Johnny Pennington actually reached out to Blue to ask, and this is the email that he forwarded to us. He said, this was from Hazel at Blue. She said, "Thanks for contacting us, Johnny." She didn't say Johnny, but I'm throwing that in there. The Encore 100 with the chrome grille and the Encore 100 black with the black grille have the same internal circuitry and internal components. The only difference between the mics are the color. You may have read that there are different frequency responses between different Encore series, like Encore 100, Encore 200, Encore 300. Once you have received your microphone, feel free to test it out and send us audio samples for further review. So that's a really interesting email, because apparently it is the same. And where this kind of started was there were a couple of websites that Johnny found where they show different frequency responses. Now, in the past, we've actually seen frequency responses mislabeled. In fact, if you check out Audio-Technica's websites, I don't remember which microphone it is, there is actually an error on one of their graphs where they show a different microphone. We did the research. It was actually on this show that we talked about it, and they just misposted it. Their marketing team or whatever misposted it. So it happens from time to time. Unless I actually own a new style Blue Encore 100, which currently in Canada, I can't find that. I can't say for sure, but for now, it does seem like it's the same type of microphone. And if it is the same, I quite like this microphone if you're looking for an inexpensive handheld dynamic microphone.
So a few things about this microphone, if you haven't heard about it before, or if you haven't heard us talk about it before, it is a sub $100 handheld dynamic cardioid microphone, which we recommend, just like the Audio-Technica ATR 2100 or any of those USB XLR microphones. It is not USB capable. It is just XLR capable. And the one thing I will say about it, the handling noise is high with it, but it gives off such a great sound if you're showing it on the camera, or if you're using it in a stand on your podcast and not just moving it anywhere, not touching it, it'll be fine. Another thing is the black version actually might be better for your camera on if you're doing a video podcast, or maybe you're streaming gameplay through Twitch or something like that. So there are definite advantages to this new black body versus the gray body. I know that some people really like the gray body, and definitely this pretty sparkling chrome grill is pretty and sparkling, but you're going to need a windscreen with it. So you might lose that pretty by putting the windscreen on. So just a couple of things. And then also finally, when we mentioned it in the post show, you could get a 2-for-1 deal on Amazon for $100. That deal is touch and go. I've been back to Amazon a couple of times, haven't seen it, have seen it, haven't seen it. So you might want to check out some other sites like Sweetwater, B&H, or BSW, and see if you can score that 2-for-1 deal at other sites as well. It's a really good microphone. If you need 2 dynamic cardioid microphones, it's a really good deal at $100 for 2 of them. So if you can find it, good on you. And we will look forward to the day when we can test the black version versus the gray version. But right now, neither of us have any plans on getting that. So it's a good mic as far as we know. So have fun with it.
Awesome. So thank you very much to everybody who wrote us this week. If you ever want to get in touch with us, please do get in touch with us through any of the ways that we have mentioned. You can always find us at facebook.com/betterpodcasting. You can tweet us at betterpod, or send an email over to podcast@betterpodcasting.com. We always want to hear from you, and maybe you've got a question or a comment that will spur a whole show, because we've done that before as well, where listeners have had fantastic ideas that just spawn the idea of a dedicated episode.
Yeah, and talking about dedicated episodes, I actually did a dedicated episode with somebody else, Steven. It wasn't you, and it was about podcasting. How do you feel about that?
I'm good with it. I'm cool.
Oh, okay. So, by the way, I just want to throw a shout out there to Joshua Liston. He does the Podcaster's Survival Guide out of Australia. We actually found a time when it was like, oh, dark 30 at his place. It was bedtime at my place. And we recorded an episode called The Television Podcasting 101-301 with Stargate Pioneer from Better Podcasting and GonnaGeek.com. TPS Guide episode number 27. You can find that at the Podcaster Survival Guide. And it is a great episode. I've heard a lot of great comments about it. So just kind of toot my own horn there, but also giving Joshua Liston all of the credit for that great episode. There's actually going to be a part 2 of our interview because we actually talked about 2 different things, and I look forward to hearing the other part as well. So you can check that out. Once again, that is The Podcaster's Guide, The Podcaster's Survival Guide, excuse me. And it is available at all the places because he's a great podcaster.
He is. And you can also go to geeks.link/spguests with an S. So that's geeks.link/spguests.
Sweet.
Awesome. So that is going to take us to the end of the show. Thanks to everybody who came on by live and to all of those who recorded or watched afterwards. If you want to get in on some of the fun as we record live, we do record this live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern time. Available at www.geeks.live. That's where we do stream that out every week on Wednesdays. Unless, of course, we're in the middle of our holiday break. Haha, check the Geeks.live calendar. We had a couple of different people come by, and some of the highlights that we had from our live chat room included Matt Gull that said that my walkthrough was the best video of the L12 on YouTube. Nicely done. Thank you very much for that, Matt, because I wasn't sure what people were looking for, so I just kind of went with what my questions were. So I'm glad to see that that actually helped, and I have a whole bunch of other videos to do. And we also got an email from the man in the street, or is he in the field, for Johnny Pennington. He said, Steven, thanks so much for revealing that SP wanted that $15 condenser microphone. I've already ordered it. It saved me so much money that my GMC Sierra 4x4 with crew cab pickup that I was going to buy him instead of that. So, gee, thanks, Steven. I can't thank you enough. So, thank you very much, Johnny. He's going to like that $15 condenser microphone over that GMC Sierra that you were going to buy him.
I'm going to go to the GMC dealership. I'm going to test drive a vehicle, and I'm going to run over that microphone.
If you have anything to say, please do get in touch with us. But until next week, I'm Stephen John Drew for Better Podcasting, episode 106. Have yourself a happy holidays, because the holiday chaos is starting. Aunt Sally's coming this weekend.
And I'm SP saying, ho, 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 ho. I hope you have a great holiday season.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Better Podcasting. We want to hear from you. You can find all of our contact information at betterpodcasting.com. If you like the show, please consider giving us a 5-star review in iTunes. We encourage you to check out all of the other geeky podcasts available at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. This has been a Gonna Geek production. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next week.